Greetings again everyone, and the Viltrox Lens company are bringing something new to the market again. This time they're offering us a new 26mm f2.8 Pancake lens for Sony E and Nikon Z mount full-frame cameras. This is one of a new series of smaller lenses they're calling EVO, and it manages to combine a remarkably compact little size with good build quality, autofocus, and bit of focus ring, and an aperture ring. Impressive. Its price is £279 here in the UK, €319 or $299 US. I'd like to thank Viltrox very much for sending me this lens for testing, although as usual this is a totally independent review. I love Pancake lenses as they're so small and light that they make taking your mirrorless camera with you places much easier, and therefore it's much more practical to actually use. 26mm is a nice, moderately wide angle too, great for street photography, for an image with a fairly neutral perspective. Its maximum aperture of f2.8 may not be terribly exciting, but it's better enough for shooting indoors, or even for getting slightly out of focus backgrounds, if you shoot close up to your subject. So this is potentially one fairly handy little lens. The lens is small, as you can see, good looking, and despite being made of plastic, it's fairly tough and will probably take a knock or two here and there. It weighs 130 grams, or 4.5 ounces. The lens enjoys a bit of weather sealing, including a rubber gasket in a metallic rear mount, and there's also a USB-C port in the back there for future firmware updates. Then we get an aperture ring. It generally clicks at every third of an f-stop, and only clicks in and out of A or camera-controlled mode quite gently as well, which can be annoying as you can accidentally switch it from A mode to f16. Then comes a thin manual focus ring, which turns very smoothly and responds well to being used. As you can see here, the lens suffers from a moderate level of focus breathing. When it comes to autofocus, the lens focuses quietly, accurately, but quite slowly, and that's whether you're shooting in single-shot autofocus mode or in continuous autofocus. That does make the lens feel a bit cumbersome in use, but the focus motor does at least get you there eventually. The lens comes with a plastic hood, which lets you attach a 43mm filters to the front. The lens's cap is metallic and magnetized, snapping onto the front of your lens quite firmly, whether your hood is attached or not. The lens does not feature image stabilization. Overall, the lens is obviously nice and small and it works fine. I will say this though, those aperture and focus rings are a bit fiddly to use, although that is ultimately just a necessity of its small design. Anyway, let's look at image quality. We'll start by testing it on a full-frame camera, the brutal 61MP Sony A7CR. In camera equations it had one first test. If you want full-frame images zoomed into the 42MP ratio, my older reviews by the way, for comparison purposes, then you can find a link to a special unlisted video in the description below. Straight from f2.8, the lens's image quality looks absolutely fantastic in the middle of the picture. Tons of resolution and excellent contrast. Let's take a look in those image corners. Okay, sharpness there is pretty good for such a tiny optic on such a demanding camera. Contrast remains quite good too, but color fringing is a little strong here. At f4 we get even more brightness, sharpness, and contrast for a really nice image in those corners, although again, there is still some color fringing. Stop down as far as f8, and some softness is beginning to creep in though due to diffraction, and f11 and f16 look softer again. Still, for such a small lens on a high-resolution full-frame camera, this is a nice performance. Let's have a quick look in the camera's 26MP APS-C mode then, for anyone shooting on a cropped sensor camera. I'm glad to say it's pretty much the same deal. Excellent image quality and f2.8 in the middle. Those image corners are good at f2.8 and slightly sharper at f4 and f5.6. At f8 and f11 though, a little softness begins to creep in. Still, the lens is a nice performer on APS-C cameras too. Let's go back to full frame, turn off in camera corrections, and take a look for distortion and vignetting. The lens projects a moderate barrel distortion here. Vignetting is strong in the image corners at f2.8. Still down to f4 for a bit of extra brightness, but even at f5.6 or f8, those corners don't get any brighter. So it's best to leave your in-camera corrections turned on here. The lens's minimum focus distance is 20 centimeters, which is quite good for a wide-angle optic. And the other good news is that its image quality is pretty much razor sharp at f2.8 when you're shooting close-up as well. Next, work against bright light, and it's a bit of a black mark for the Viltrox lens here. Bright lights produce a big loss of contrast, with some internal reflections in there as well, and I did occasionally find that loss of contrast creeping into my everyday pictures occasionally. While we're back in the dark, let's take a look for camera and Sunstars. The lens is showing a bit of smearing at f2.8 here in the corners, but stoned down to f4 to get more clarity. Let's zoom out, look for Sunstars then. They seem to come and go. At f4 and f5.6 they are present but only gentle. Here's f8, f11 and f16, where they seem to struggle to break through into reality. Let's take a look at the lens's autofocus backgrounds then. As I already mentioned, this is not the first lens you should reach for to get autofocus backgrounds, but the quality of the lens's bokeh is perfectly fine here. Not the smoothest in the universe, but neither is there anything distracting going on. And finally, related to bokeh, let's take a look for longitudinal chromatic aberration. It's present in your images at f2.8, but not strong. At f4 it's reduced, and at f5.6 it's gone. Overall, this is a very well done lens. It's small and sharp, and also, it has great close-up image quality and nice bokeh, which makes it quite a flexible choice too. I was disappointed by its strong flaring, and also its autofocus feels slow on your camera. But generally, for its tiny size and reasonable price, you're getting good value for money here, and a lens you will actually take places with you. So it definitely comes recommended. Alright, thanks for watching everyone, and a huge thank you to my channel members